today's video, I want to have a think about why people perhaps aren't using their foiling platforms as much as they might, or using them at all. I've been doing hot foiling originally on a Todo machine since 2016, and I got my GoPress and Foil in 2017. And once I got my GoPress and Foil, I hardly made a card without using it. So, you know, that's quite a lot of cards. And still, when I post cards, people say how lovely they are, and they say, oh, really should get my foiling platform out. One lady recently said, I bought one last year and it's still in its box, haven't used it yet. And I'm mystified because I love using mine. So I thought perhaps people are a bit worried about the cost of hot foiling plates, and they don't know quite what to buy and what would be a good investment. And perhaps they need some ideas for different ways of using hot foiling plates and getting the most out of them. So I had to think about what I've got in my stash, what I use, different ways I use it, and I've come up with some ideas. So I've got lots of hot foiling plates because I've been collecting them for 5 years or more, different brands. I've got some Spellbinders ones, you know, they're glimmer plates, and that's these sort of coppery coloured ones. And I've got some Crafter's Companion Gemini FoilPress foil stamp dies, as they call them, and that's these silvery ones. And I've also got some, I'm not going to call them unbranded, but unknown brands. They're a bit thinner than the others, but I found these on Amazon, and they don't appear to be counterfeit of other designs. I've not seen the design from anyone else, and they're very good value for money. The brand is something like Global Land, but it's spelt quite strangely. Do a search for hot foiling plates or foil stamp and see what comes up, and just have a look. That they're worth, you know, having a go with, because they are such brilliant value for money. This is a set. You got the two kind of edge stroke corner dies, and this lovely happy birthday. I think I've got it upside there. I think I've got it the right way up. Yes, happy birthday in a strip. It's a nice small sentiment, and I find that's a very useful one. So what I want to look at is, let me show you what I did when I came up with some ideas. So what I've done is I've taken some sort of toppers that I printed out from a crafting USB and had a play. I printed it out a few times because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and then had some left over. So that's one idea, okay? And for that, believe it or not, I've used that foil stamp, okay? Now you'd think, well, it's a corner, but you don't have to use all of it. So what I've done is I've hung it off the edge of the card in that kind of fashion, so that I just get some foiling on the edge there, okay? So that's that one, and then I'll put it onto some silver mirror card so that the foiling doesn't disappear into nowhere. It's got an edge to it. Okay, that'll get matted and layered and put on a card. And then this one, now this is this lovely, I think they're peonies, hot foil stamp, and I've used this on its own as a topper to make cards. I've used it in corners on backing papers, and in this I've used it to frame that central image. And again, that's just gone on part of it like that, to give me that frame. So I'm going to show you how I did this one, and then the other one I'm going to use different topper. That's what I'm going to foil onto, and I'm going to use this one. I've done this, I've drawn around the outside of the die I'm going to cut with, just in pencil, to give me a line. Anyway, you can just about see that. So I've got a guide for where I need my foiling to be. Okay, and then I'm going to use, I think, this one. Okay, now this is part of a set that comes with this smaller corner as well, and it also comes with dies to cut these out and other dies to cut like a shaped card to use them with. So lovely set to have. I probably haven't used it as much as I ought to, but I thought if I just kind of go across that corner there and do the same down the bottom, oh, that'll look nice. It's the sort of foil you can get when you buy a foil kit. So, and then I'll use that from a paper pad to make it into a card. Okay, so let's do the peony first. So let me put all my bits and pieces from my card making out the way. So we're aiming for that kind of thing, and I've die cut this out so that I know it's a perfect square, but it's a little bit bigger, and I might end up cutting it down slightly before I put it on a card, but I can decide that later. So I want this main flower to be what's over the edge here, and that's down. I don't want to come in too far. And I'm going to use, I've got a stamp press magnet wrapped in some large masking tape, so it's got handles on it, and that's important because I need to be able to pick it up easily. And I'm also I'm just going to have a bit of a tidy up. Now I use a good quality decorator's masking tape for delicate surfaces. So this doesn't tend to tear my card when I remove it, but I need a piece of that. So whatever, if you've got some good low tack tape you use, that's fine. But you don't want it too low tack because it needs to make sure the card doesn't move. We'll see why in a moment. So let's line that up. Yeah, maybe about there. Yeah, there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my magnet on the back. Okay. And I can just adjust very slightly if I need to. Okay, so I've got that like that. Move this one out of the way. And then I'm going to get my GoPress Foil, which has been getting nice and hot while I've been talking. Okay, so now it's really important that the whole of the hot foil stamp is on the heated part. As much as anything, that is to make sure it doesn't get bent. So I'm just deciding what's the best way to do that. Now, depending on the size of the hot foil stamps you're using, you might end up with your card sticking out the side of your GoPress Foil, or your Glimmer, or your Gemini FoilPress. This works with any of them. And I'm sticking a piece of tape down there to hold my card still. I'm sticking it to the white frame, that doesn't get hot. So you may need to may only be able to do some of these if you've got a wide die cutting machine, so that your card can stick out the side. So I've put my hot foil stamp on, got my card, and I've taped it in place, but then I'm going to flip it out the way, and that's so my card doesn't get hot. But then I'm going to put this back on the base so that the hot foil stamp heats up. Now I'm going to cut some silver foil for this. I'm going to take it a bit further than the, let's take it to there. obviously I've practiced these, so I kind of know how much foil I need to cut. Okay, so I will need another 2 pieces, but I shall do those in a moment. So that feels like it's got hot, at least hot enough for me to get the foil on. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my camera around because I don't normally keep pulling my platform on and off. I tend to stand up and work with it on the base. So I'm going to lift the lid. I'm going to put my foil on and flip my card back, and then I need my shims. Now obviously I've already been working with this today, so I found that 3 shims worked well, but you might need to test it. If you're not sure, start with less. Okay, in fact let's start with 1 and see how we get on. I'm fairly sure it's not going to be enough, but I'll show you what happens. Just waiting for it to finish heating. There we go, the light's gone green. Let me just put the camera up straight. Obviously I'm using a Big Shot Plus, so it doesn't matter that my card's sticking outside. Okay, so my card is stuck down here, so I'm going to flip it up and just gently peel back the foil a bit and see if it has foiled. Because I thought it wouldn't, it has. Let me just check this side. Yeah, actually that's foiled really nicely just using 1 shim, but it doesn't always. Okay, but if I needed to, I could put it back down and add more shims. Okay, so now I need a pencil mark where my card is lined up. I normally do that before I start. Excuse me a moment. Sorry about that. Had to go and see what the cat was up to. So what I need to do now is I put a mark with my pencil against the corner of my card so that I know where to line it up. And then what I do is I untape it, carefully peel my tape off the back. Okay, and then I can do the next corner. So I line up with my pencil mark. Take the card down, flip the card out of the way, then I can put my foil on. Put my card shim in. I'm actually going to use 2 shims because I'm not confident that 1 is going to work reliably. Okay, and while that is heating up, I'm going to cut some more foil. Oh, and it's gone green. There we go. So okay, we'll roll it. Okay, if you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know this is a technique I've used before. It's the same technique as I use for building wreaths and for building frames, working with corner hot foil stamps to go in the corners of things. So it just makes it very quick and easy because you don't have to keep repositioning your hot foil stamp and getting it heated up again you can just keep adding your foil. And then off you go. That on there. Get the card back. Put the shims on. Got the other piece of foil. Check the foiling. And one last time, make sure I've got the corner that needs to be foiled. There. If you think you're going to get in a muddle with foiling, number the sides on the back. And then you can start with one down here and gradually work your way round. That just needs to come back to temperature. Okay, I need to take the foil stamp off and leave it to cool. Okay, let's just take the tape off. So there, right up. There is my top of it. It's lovely foiled frame around it. Okay, now you might think, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a whole foil plate that was just this frame and left the middle clear? But I have to say, if I was trying to foil that all in one go, that would be its own kind of trouble, because it was a solid foil plate. Then chances are I'd get over foiling in the middle. And I'd be using a big piece of foil, trying to do it all in one go. So I'd need, more pressure. As I say, in many ways it's easier that it's just a smaller foil stamp and I'm just using a part of it, because then this can be any size. In fact, I think if we compare the two, I've done the foil further out on this second one, and I think I actually prefer that. It sort of crowded in on the design a bit on that one. So there's that version. So whatever foil stamps you've got, and they come and go, if you see a foil stamp and you don't get it, chances are when you come back to it you perhaps can't get it, because they're a collection, they come out and they don't always get another batch manufactured, or they're around for about a year and then they disappear. So really take the inspiration, and when new things come along, think, well, I could do that technique that Joe showed, but with that foil stamp. Yeah, I'm not trying to get you to buy particular foil stamps. I'm trying to give you ideas so that when things come along, you can buy more confidently, perhaps, and have a better idea of how you might use things. So let's have a look at this oval one. So yeah, I've decided I'm going to use this foil stamp, okay, and not do it as a corner, because if I did it as a corner, it would look quite square. But I actually want to just do part of it and bring it into that oval. I'm just trying to decide how far in I want to come. I don't think I want to come too far in. I just want a bit of foiling at the edges, really. Okay, so let's go for that. I mean, you could even sort of turn it around and have just bits dipping in, even like that. It might be a bit difficult to line it up. If I was going to do that, I'd probably use the smaller one. So yeah, let's turn it round and go kind of, so it's coming into that corner, and it is kind of on the corner, but I don't want it quite that far. Maybe I want to go, I want to keep it over to one side, so maybe like there, so it's not straight, so it doesn't even have to be straight. Yeah, so I'm going to do it like that. So let's see how this lines up. Now, one reason for making pencil marks is they are quite easy to remove. Let me just get my rubber. I can remove my pencil marks. I can turn this over. Now, because this is going to fit easily, so I can actually use the corner of the GoPress and foil to line up with. Even better. Okay, I'm still going to put my tape down the bottom though. Yeah, I don't need a pencil mark because I'm lined up with the edge, but you know, I can put one if I want to, just to make sure I know where that end is going. So I might forget which corner I've lined up with. Okay, so feel for where the hot foil plate is, hold it down through the card, just gently pull the magnet away. Flip the card out the way. It's foil everywhere. I need to make sure they don't get themselves underneath the GoPress and foil, because it could interfere with the connector. Right, there we are. That's it. So that goes back on the base, and I will cut some foil. Now, whenever I get this roll of foil out, people say, where did you get your big roll of foil? And I bought it on Create and Craft quite some time ago. And I think it was a Paper Dynamics show, or it could have been Kanban, but it was very good value for money. And I would recommend, when they come along, these opportunities, buy the big roll of foil, if you possibly can. I think it was about £10. But it, you know, it had about 300 metres on it. Might have been 200 metres, but it's an awful lot. And you might think, well, I'd never use all that. It doesn't matter. It's still much cheaper than buying it in small rolls. And even if, you know, you take a chance on it and you find it's not great for what you do for it, it's worth the chance. It really is. So, that is saying it's hot. Let's move my roll of foil out the way a little bit. So I'm going to turn the camera again. Yep, that's quite a good view. I've got my hot foil plate here. So I'm going to put my foil across. Doesn't matter that it doesn't cover all of it, because it's covering enough of it, I think. Now, if I find it isn't, I can always put another piece of foil on, to be honest. So that's that. Now I do find, because this foil plate has got flat areas on it, I sometimes need more calcium. So these white ones are doubles, so they're 2 layers of card. As you can see, they've had lots of use. And the cream one is just a single layer. So let's see how we get on with that. I can feel, because I'm using a manual machine, I can feel when I've got past where the foil plate is, the tension changes. Let's have a look. So I have to say, I need a bit more pressure. It's okay in some places, so I'm going to put that other shim back in. I'm just waiting, it's flashing red, I'm just waiting for it to go green again. So this is why we've got the card stuck down. Now I can have a look, and yes, that has now foiled very nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this card all the way around and do the same foiling on the bottom. Now I did, before I started, I drew my oval and then I checked that it was in the centre of the card and trimmed the card to make sure it was. So I know I can turn this around and get exactly the same foiling diagonally opposite on my oval. Again, it's flashing red, so I'll wait for it to turn green so it's at the right temperature. Flip it back, check the foiling. Hasn't quite in a couple of places. I'm going to put that down and just run it again. That's better. Okay. I can turn that off. That's it. Right. Bring the camera back round. Okay, so I don't think you're really going to get the full effect of this until I die cut it. So let's do that. So though I'm using a Big Shot Plus, I'm using a set of Big Shot plates. So I've got this is the die that I drew around. Okay, so I'm just going to position that, and I drew around the outside so that if I'm slightly off, it really doesn't matter. So yeah, there. I think that's right. Right, so I've put my die on, okay. This piece of paper is just here because this is a magnetic base plate, and I find it makes it easier to lift the dies off, so I can lift the paper. There's that, just a little bit of foiling. So that's my waist. Okay, now if this pattern went further, then perhaps that might make a nice frame. But to be honest, to find bits for this, I've gone through my scraps box and picked out stuff. So there we are. So I've got my top with just a tint of foiling on those edges. Okay, so it's not over the top, because very often with foiling, less is more. Okay, so that will get matted and layered onto some nice sort of deep pink terracotta type sort of colour card, and then I shall use that backing paper and make it up into a card. So think about hot foil stamps. Think about what perhaps you've already bought, different ways of using it. If you've not used your machine much, you're saving it up for that special card, then do please get it out and learn to use it before you want to make that special card. Because otherwise, you know, you'll waste lots of, you know, perhaps very, very nice card and paper if you're making a special card in learning to use your machine. And really you want to do that on things that perhaps you can reprint, or that you've got extras of, or you know, that topper in the set you don't like but you need to practice your foiling on something. I'm using items I've printed out from USBs, but you could do this with pre-printed kits. If they're toppers that are pre-die cut, maybe just held in with little pips, I suggest you cut round the card they're in as a rectangle, so you've got something to put your tape on the back of, and you know, a straight edge to line them up. That makes it easier for using this technique of attaching to the edge of the platform. But you know, I've got all sorts of card and paper, and you know, I could add foiling on here to match in if I wanted to. And then that would make that even more special. So, you know, I could put some foiling on here and here, or maybe here. Oh, actually, if I put it in the opposite corners, that would look really nice. Shall I do that? Let's do that. Give you that idea as well. And I think maybe, what have I done? Oh, my foil stamp's on there. I can't find it. So, get the foil stamp. That's going to be hot. So just bear with me a couple of minutes. I'm going to pause the camera because that's going to need to cool. Right, so this has cooled down, and I've trimmed my paper down to the size I want to mat and layer it onto some gold card. So I've cut it down to a 14 centimetre square. Okay, so just taking a bit off down this side and down the bottom. Okay, and what I've decided I'm going to do, I'm going to use the big one of these down in the corner, and I'm going to use the smaller one up the top. Okay, just to carry my foiling on, or perhaps I might see what it looks like just when I've done the one. So I need my magnet. Okay, and I'm just lining this up by eye. Okay, we're going to think about that in a minute. Okay, this could be any hot foil stamp, or it could be the peony, using part of that again. So bring this off, and this is going to go. Now I want it so that I want to make sure I've got this well and truly on my GoPress and foil, and it's at the edge of my card. So I could go there, but it'll foil better if I'm going diagonally, if I'm going lengthways down it. So I want this in this corner, and then that's just okay to fit in if I've only got a small die cutting machine. Okay, so feel for the hot foil stamp, don't hold your fingers there too long, and slide the magnet off. Flip that out the way, close the lid, and put that back on the base. Now, as I say, normally I'd stand up and just do it leaning over, but it's easier for you to see, I think, if I bring it down here. Let's cut some foil. I need to make sure this is long enough, so there. I'm going to go kind of diagonally across my piece of foil. I'm not sure if that's enough. I can just check there. That's okay. It's a bit long. Let's just make a bit off of here. And round off your corners, because they tend to hang down and cause overfoiling. Okay, that is still heating up. Oh, it's got there. And quite often I find people don't think of, you know, they'll have paper pads, they don't think of adding some foil to them. I don't know why. People often ask me, what's the best card for foiling on? And I say, the card you want the foil on. Sorry, I've forgotten to turn the camera. I've just put my foil on and flipped my card back down. Okay, I need some shims. I'm going to go for three layers and then check it. Because I've got the foil stamp in a different orientation, I'm using completely different paper. And I quite often find good quality sort of printed paper pads, they foil quite easily compared with plain card, which of course is what my card was before I printed on it. Okay, so peeling the foil, having a look, it's hardly foiled at all. Okay, so let's go back to all the shims. Wait for it to get hot. Here we are. Nope, that still hasn't foiled properly. I'm going to put it back down again one more card shim. Well, it kind of has, kind of hasn't. I'm going to get some different foil. I cut that the wrong way. I've cut the foil the wrong way. I'll go back just to 4 because this is different foil. Some foils need more pressure than others, and that can depend on the cardstock or paper you're using. Okay, so I accidentally picked up the paper. I'm beginning to think I've got some sort of contaminant on this card. It's come out kind of shabby chic, and it's not what I'm after. And just to show, you know, my foiling doesn't come out perfect every time. So I can try and get this back in the same place as it was in the corner here. And we can hope. And it is a bit of a hope. Right. That's down there. I'm going to have one more go. And we'll see what happens. So I'm hoping it's rolled, and I'm hoping that it was in the same place as before. Well, that foil stamp has definitely moved, or the card's moved. So I'll find something different to mat and layer this. You kind of get the idea but I'll make up the card and then you can see it on the thumbnail for the video. Okay, so let's do a recap. Let's bring the camera around to my messy table where I've got all this foil. Move that out of the way. So I've got my topper. Now if this foiling had worked, then I would end up with something like that. Okay, there's some nice foiling down here, but I say I'll find something different to mat and layer this on too, so that, and I will put the foiling on, but I'm not going to pretend it works every time, because obviously that hasn't. But you get the idea. You can put some foiling on the edges, taping your card down to the cool edge gives you the best chance of being able to go for a second attempt if your foiling hasn't worked first time. But yeah, lots of ideas. Peony. I think I've got another card I did recently, so bear with me. Now if we look at the edges of this backing paper, and this is just from a magazine kit, so it's not high quality paper, so I've used the peony on that just to put foiling in the corners. It doesn't need to be all over. As I say, quite often less is more. So there's another idea for you. Okay, so thank you for watching. I just wanted to come back to you because I found I've got some more of this pattern paper, and I've had another go at foiling, but I've moved the foil stamp on the card over about 1 centimetre, and I've used the Gemini multi-surface foil, which is what I was doing last time, and it's foiled perfectly this time. So that's hot foiling. Occasionally it goes wrong. Thankfully most of the time for me it goes right, but I thought I'd show you that. So let's just quickly have a look at how this will look when the card is put together. So let me close the lid on that, turn the camera around. So I've also found some card to do my matte layer from, so we might as well see what this will all come together like. So there's my foiling. As you can see, it's now worked perfectly. Yeah, that's why you need to practice to minimise the times that happens. So I'm not going to say it'll never happen. Let me see. Best use of that piece of card. Let's cut the matte layer. This has got a kind of crinkly edge to it. Move that out of the way. So I'm going to cut this. I really did get I got the feeling I kind of left it hanging, and it's like I don't like doing that. I like to finish things off. I don't know whether with having the foil stamp right against the edge, whether or not it was making a difference to how much pressure got through from the die cutting machine. That's a possibility. So I've just cut the next die up in the set, and I've cut it rather than doing it as a foil. I want to do it in a nice contrasting colour to bring out the colour of the roses. We've got that, and we'll have that. There we are. So I shall map that onto some gold card and add sentiment, and there will be our card done. Okay, so peonies, the one I did earlier, and the one I've done this afternoon. Okay, and just as I say, just think about the foil plates you've got, or the ones you might get, and when you see them, and think about the different ways you can use them, because just because something looks like a big centerpiece, it doesn't need to be. You can use it just to foil part of it around the edge of something, and just because something's a corner, it doesn't have to be a corner. It can be some embellishment on the edge. Okay, so thank you for watching.